And I think that kind of takes us to that point in the stream where normally it's just me and McBride, and we're trying to put on Brendan Rodgers' Tom Ford's, trying to get into Brendan's shoes and try and pick the team that we're going to have to face the next match. Now we've come off the back of Dundee United winning 2-0. We're going away to Ross County, which is we just seen I think it was the last time we played them. We had the McKibben show, of course. These are all the players that are in the fray, and we're going to do our best to try and pretend we're Brendan and see who could start this. Now, you brought something up interesting a moment ago, right? And I've been frustrated for the last 2 games, maybe, that we've not seen this, right? But why does Valley not play left wing instead of Palma? Like, the minutes Palma's been getting, I've always been like, what? Just put Valley up there. Just tell him to fucking do it, you know? So, just thought I'd throw that out there.
I think it's just it is just rigid systems, isn't it? Like, they're just obsessively stick to their rigid wee roles. I think he's got the ability. Yeah, I think he's a lot better than what he's really been given the opportunity to show at Celtic. So I wouldn't disagree with you.
So he's not played for a few games, Valley in particular. Ross County, again, the last time we played this game, we had a lot of rotation. It was one of McKibben's first starts, if memory serves me right. And we have had a game recently where we did have like 6 rotations. Now, fair enough, one of them was Stephen Welsh, which I think was quite last minute for Carter Vickers and Trusty. They were ill or whatever at that moment. But this is a game where I think left back is kind of open. I know the Greg Taylor gate is kind of been and gone now. It feels like that chapter is kind of closed, and maybe he could take Taylor out for Valley. He did. The last time Valley started was Aberdeen away, and if you remember, the weather was minging and they came off rapid. So if the weather's minging again, maybe we don't play him up north in the minging weather. I'm rather undecided where hell that'll go.
Ross County fans saying that there's like mad snow up there this week. So I don't know, like, because I've not really spent time looking at the weather up there, but apparently they've said it's been really, really bad. They were saying it could be in doubt. I've not heard anything that it could be in doubt, but just to support your point, I don't know if a fair weather player would survive those conditions.
Big Wong. How do you see it, McBride, for left back?
Yeah, I thought if it wasn't for all the Kieran Tierney stuff at Valley, would have started against Dundee United, to be honest. I mean, I think it's clear that Brendan's quite happy to have Greg Taylor playing in there now, but he also said that, you know, the whole squad will be used through this spell. And what really gets me is we're not just playing on Saturday, we're playing against Dundee away in midweek. We've got Kilmarnock at home, and then we've got young boys, so there's going to have to be rotation. Like, I think it was just a bit of a kind of shock to my system seeing like the same team roll out as the previous game. Aye, so like I know you think that maybe this could be the game that Carter Vickers gets rotated in the centre back. I don't think so. I think like he'll go pretty similar again. I think the main reason he'll go pretty similar again is because we've been dominating games, we've been dominating the ball, and teams have been sitting in. So I don't think like we've really in those games expended like a huge amount of energy. And I think he's kind of want to cement this lead just now in the league and keep the momentum going right into the European game. So I think if Valley does play, then you'll see Trusty, CCV, and Johnson. I don't think he'll make a lot of changes there. You might just see Taylor, Trusty, CCV, and Johnson, or you might see maybe Scales coming in for a game and giving CCV a bit of a rest. But he doesn't tend to play Scales away a lot. Just he played away that Dundee United game because of injuries, but he doesn't tend to play Scales away a lot because of the sort of recovery pace situation. So I think he'll maybe just for a couple of games try and build that centre back sort of pairing again between Trusty and CCV. Again, he had the chance last night. He made the fourth sub, I think it was. I'm pretty sure he could have like just whacked on Scales and taken some minutes off CCV or whatever, but he didn't do it. So maybe because we were only winning 1-0, they wanted to make sure we're winning the game. But yeah, I think maybe 2 to 3 changes, but not anything anywhere near like 4, 5, or 6. I don't think, based on how we're doing.
See, the thing is, like, after the, I mean, just my feeling is that it's after that Rangers game. There's, I think there's a wee bit of him putting his foot down, saying, "No, I'm rigid."
Yeah.
Because another part to support that is in the last 2 games he's only made 4 subs. He's specific like he's not made the 5th sub, and normally he would use all the subs. And there does seem a bit of a, like a point to prove to people, you're not deserving to get on the pitch. You need to work harder. I think there's an element of that coming through, which I like personally. I like that there's a bit of stubbornness for him, which is, people don't just get onto the pitch easily. There should be punishment for that performance as well. Let's not be about the bush. That was poor. So people should be, feeling the wrath for that. I think for whatever reason, Bernardo has been targeted because Bernardo has not been getting off the bench. But yeah, I do feel that there is. I feel it's more edging towards less changes in this game as well because of that. Just because of, I think you'll see less rotation in this game. Maybe full strength against Dundee in midweek, then full rest against Kilmarnock at home.
Cup.
Yeah, I
so?
think you'll put it. Oh yeah, I think it'll be a full.
No, I don't think so. I think treble. Kilmarnock knocked us out a cup last year. I don't think you take any.
Well, I'll tell you why that game against Young Boys is everything. That's the $1 billion baby.
Yeah,
that's I think you'll go full pelt for that. I think you'll. Don't get me. I'm not saying you'll. I think you'll see the biggest amount of rotation in that game. I'm not saying you'll rest everyone. I think you'll see a bigger amount of rotation in that Kilmarnock game than others.
Yeah, maybe like sort of 5 or 6 changes, and then you make the subs, and then that's your full. Everybody's had some form of minutes managed type thing. But I think with this game, I'm edging more towards maybe even Hatate coming back in. I know McCown's been doing well too, but Hatate has actually played pretty well off the bench for the last couple of games, so it might be a good time to sort of bring him back in there. Or depending on how Nicolas Kuhn is, I can't see Nicolas Kuhn starting this game in any way, shape or form. There's too many games coming up. Obviously, it might be more precaution where he was taking out the lineup because of the thigh thing, but if he's fit for the weekend, I think he will start on the bench. I just don't think he'll want to risk him. So you put him on, he pops his thigh, and then he's not playing against Young Boys, not playing against Aston Villa. So I think he's probably our best player this season. So I think he'll be cautious with that. But I think he'll be a couple of changes, and I think obviously Yang's not actually a change because it was changed before he started, but from the actual full 11, I think Kuhn will be on the bench. I think good chance Hatate comes back in. Engels playing pretty well at the moment, and then it's is it Ida or is it Kyogo? But I'm going for Kyogo for this one. Ida's played 2 games, and I think he'll bring him back in just on normal rotation and just keep him match sharp.
I want to come back to you on centre back. Sorry, just before we kind of because when it comes to Vickers, Vickers has played he's played 5 games in a row. All the games have been 2-3 days apart. Away to bottom of the table, essentially Ross County, and then Dundee, who are giving Rangers a game, and Arahan the outfit, Killing the Cup, Young Boys. Surely Ross County is a game where you give Vickers because he's not going to play every one of these games, is he? He has to rest one of them, surely, because they're all 3 days apart. Can Vickers do 8 games in in this period of time or whatever it is, 2 weeks? It feels like, I'm not convinced. I think Vickers gets a rest here.
It could be. I mean, in my head, I had Scales coming in for midweek, and I was surprised that he never got the rest midweek. So maybe that's ticking over. I mean, or you could play him in this one, and then you could take a view. I think Trusty obviously was ill too. So if CCV and Trusty start this one, what you'll probably find happening is that Scales will start for CCV in the Dundee game, and then he'll start for Trusty against Kilmarnock or something. Then just so that they're both getting a wee bit of rest ahead of that sort of big European game. It's just so many fixtures, you just always try to sort of second guess it. But I think that at centre half, we'll let Welsh go. And Dane Murray obviously was doing well out on loan. Navrocki, is he still alive? I don't know. So we're not like that well endowed there in terms of numbers. But as I said, the way teams have been playing against us, everybody's been dropping in, and we've just been controlling the ball. And I just don't feel as if actually the centre halves are putting up a lot of energy in those games. Maybe they're putting up energy trying to run forward with the ball a lot, but Carter Vickers is coasting through games, getting the ball past the ball 5 yards, just pushing up a wee bit. It's not the same as maybe like an Alistair Johnson or a Greg Taylor getting right up and down the wings. So I don't think he needs to be rested for this one, but you're right, this could be the game where you see maybe Scales and Trusty and just a wee bit of rotation to keep the guys fresh ahead of those other games.
I just don't see him playing every one of these games, and I think Dundee away you take seriously. Killie in the cup is just as big as the Young Boys game, really, for the way Brendan's seeing it. So I just think I couldn't see him starting this one. Surely that's just the way I feel, and I think Trusty Scales has played together, so you can kind of do that. So I think the defence, Johnson's probably starting this. I don't think we'd see Ralston come back into this one. McGregor starts, of course. And then I just wanted to touch on centre-backs because we were getting into midfield and forwards or something. Mark Patrick, you were about to add on to something before I cut you off earlier.
I was just going to ask if we knew about Kuhn's injury, because they said they were going to...
we've not had an update yet.
No, nothing came through.
I was going to say, remember there was a game where he was a wee bit iffy and he came off the bench and got man of the match? You remember that? I can't remember who it was against, but he came off the bench and got like a goal and 2 assists or something. Absolutely rinsed it. So I could see that type of shift from him maybe over the next 2 matches, and then start Kelly, start Young Boys.
It's just a whole like he was in the lineup and then we took him out type thing. It's like how precautionary was that, and like if he's felt something there, then I just don't see us taking any risks with him. Like what would if like what you're saying there about CCV and playing against bottom of the league and things, like it's just naturally a time where you just say, right, well, we'll have 50 or 60 minutes of Yang, and then if need be, if we're not winning by 1 or 2 goals, then Nicolas Kuhn's still there to make sure we sort of secure the 3 points. So
I agree with you on that one. Daizen on to start again as well. And then we'll talk about strikers. I know you've kind of touched on that as well, but I think midfield is the really interesting bit because we didn't see any changes there in the last game. It was Engels and McKeown. And like you mentioned, Mark Patrick Rare, not the last game because he came off the bench, but the game before that, Bernardo didn't see the grass. He didn't get a minute for himself. So with Bernardo being on the bench for 2 games in a row and with Hatate being on the bench for 2 games in a row, is this maybe like a job share we've got? Engels and McKeown and Bernardo and Hatate, and it's maybe just a straight like 2 for 2.
I think that would be logical. I have a feeling it's going to be Engels, Reo, and McGregor. I think it would be logical to give Bernardo minutes here, but I don't know. It felt like that defeat to Rangers was far more significant to Brendan, and I would understand that there's been words said, and there'll have been actions implemented as a result of that, and you can already kind of feel there's definitely much more of a rigidness. Ross County are poor. They're third bottom in the table. I mean, I can't remember us properly spanking them up there. I think we had like a 3-0 or a thing. They're not many massive spankings we've given them up there, but it should be a formality match for sure.
Just noticed something interesting in what you were saying there. The last, the Rangers game was Hatate and Bernardo, and since then it's been Engels and McKeown, 3 for 2. That's a interesting kind of detail I think you've picked up on there. Yeah,
I think and the same with Scales, which is that's partly my reason as well for dropping Scales for this one. We'll soon find out if Scales is dropped and Bernardo's dropped, then I think we can only take it that's as a result of that Rangers game. There's a hangover, and he's basically said you guys need to step it up. Which again, I personally like that because I don't like this whole people just get games for the sake of it. You need to get games on merit. And like McCowan's done, like McCowan's forced his way into the team, but just getting on with it, and that any chance he gets, he takes it. I would say the midfield will be Reo, Engels, and McGregor in this game. If anything, it will be, as you said, it will be Bernardo coming in for Engels, and it is just a rotation job. But personally, I think it will be Reo, Engels, McGregor.
Yeah.
Is there any danger that Bernardo plays for McGregor? We did see it a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Probably not really
is.
needed, but is there any scope for that, you think?
Probably I think McGregor's a stick on to be rested against Kilmarnock, because I
don't see anyone getting rested against Kilmarnock. I don't know how you can say this. It feels so awkward to me.
Because the game that the games that Daizen and McGregor etc. sat out were the ones right before the Rangers game. So obviously that's in the sort of thoughts of, immediately before that game to freshen somebody up. I know what you mean. It's a cup game and you've got to win, but I understand that. But it's Kilmarnock at home, and Bernardo has the game that Bernardo started for McGregor at home. I think we won 3 or 4-0 as well. Was it St Johnstone? I wouldn't say Kilmarnock are any better than St Johnstone. I don't know.
Kilmarnock are terrible.
Nah, they've not been good this season. It's not in the dodgy pitch or anything either. It's at Celtic Park. So yeah. I mean, these are two. They're away games, and obviously Dundee and Ross County are not as good this season. But as you said, it can still be a tough trip. So if you did bring in Hatate and you're bringing in Yang and maybe Kyogo in, I don't think there'll be many changes out with that, because you're already getting 3 changes. I don't think he'll go for the full 5 or 6 change type thing for this game. I just don't sort of think that's the way he's been thinking just now. But there we go. It's happened before. We've turned up against Dundee in a Wednesday night, and all our Sorare teams have been an absolute wreckage. So there we go.
Yeah.
I think Engels feels like the safest to play this, the same way I feel Trusty's quite safe in defence. It feels like Trusty's going to play this. It does kind of feel that Engels is going to keep playing as well.
Yeah,
and I think it's a real coin toss between the rest of these. But like I mentioned earlier, it feels like Engels, he's got 4 man of the match awards in the last 5 games or whatever. A lot of that has been on the left of the midfield, which is Hatate's spot. When Hatate came on last night, Engels moved to the right and Hatate went into where he normally lives on the pitch. So I don't know. I find that a funny dynamic, around, if Engels does play, then if you want the best out of Engels, it looks like it's on here. Now, Ross County away, maybe it's a bit of a different animal than it being at Celtic Park, and put Engels back here because he has linked up well with Johnson and formerly Kuhn, obviously maybe Yang in this game, we're suspecting. And then you put Hatate back over here as the press happy forward. But I don't know. I can see McCowan starting this, but
Hatate's just that. I mean, for all of the people getting annoyed about him, I mean, the guy is just insane. He's so talented.
Yeah.
I mean, you just see even for that goal last night, the positioning, he just reads the game so well. To be in the position to just smash that home. I think you've got to start Hatate in this. I mean, if whatever hangover you had from the Rangers game, you can't deny the guy comes in. He's a results boy. He comes in, 2 games, 2 goals. So from that point of view, you can't not play him in this game. I think. I think he has to be nailed to play this game.
I don't think I can see him on the bench 3 games in a row. That would feel weird.
Yeah, and I agree with you as well. I think there's two kind of momentums going with Engels, which is that fee is going to constantly be at the back of Brendan's mind. I've got to, I've paid this, he's got to play. So I think you'll see Engels play here just to continue to build that momentum. So I think I'm confident in that midfield 3. I'd be surprised if Bernardo was just thrown in, because if he was so caring about Bernardo's minutes, he would have thrown him in and given him minutes than those two. I mean, the game we coasted the game against St Mirren. He could have easily put him in. So that was, it felt like it was more a point he was making to Bernardo as opposed to, about needing to give people minutes.
Fair. And then you've both kind of said you expect Kyogo, similar to what I said about Hatate. It's hard to imagine he doesn't start 3 games in a row. But like I said earlier, Brendan's a subscriber on the channel, and I've been asking for Ida to get 3 games in a row so we can see what he's actually made of, rather than this, 5 games off the bench, gets a goal, right, start one, you did nothing, you're dropped again. Effort, actually give him some time to, spread his wings. It is away from home, which is generally what Ida's been fancied for out of the two of them in this kind of job share situation as well. Kyogo needs goals, Ida needs goals. I find this one almost impossible to call.
Yeah, it's really tough. The other thing I noticed as well was that when Ida was on the pitch, Engels still took the penalty as well. Can't remember what game it was, so that's a kind of an overall one that's going to be an issue for Adam Ida as well, because previously he was taking all the pens too, which is going to up those stats in terms of there'll be people who would argue like you should have your striker on a penalty anyway because that's their job in the team and all that sort of stuff. And I think he's a good penalty taker as well. But Engels got it whilst Ida was on the pitch as well. So yeah, it could be Ida. I think you're right. But Kyogo's not had many sort of minutes in the last couple of games. So I think if Ida does start, you can find like Kyogo coming on maybe a wee bit earlier and getting a more of a run out again. But it just depends how he sees it.
Kyogo hat-trick.
Ooh, love it.
A hacky.
Love it.
I want to come out and make a statement and end this nonsense about criticising him.
He did score 2 goals the last home game as well, didn't he? So I mean, the game before was the game before Rangers. He scored 2 goals. Yeah.
So I've got one. We normally end on goal predictions and stuff like that. Before we get there, there's been a bunch of you joining us live. If you could smash the like button if you've enjoyed the show today, that would mean a lot to us. But for all of you guys on the YouTube live chat, I've got a poll open now, right? Adam Ida, the Ida 9, or Kyogo? It's a 50-50 poll. Get voting in the live chat. Let me know what you guys think. Who's going to be up front for us in the last one? But yeah, if this is the sort of team we're expecting to go out, like Yang's probably not playing the full game. The subs will be interesting in this one. And if Brendan's managed to catch this live stream, we might see Alex Valley playing left wing towards the back end of the game. That'll be a real tell if we see that happening. He does wear number 11. It's just always in the back of my head. He's got number 11. It's like, why did he get given that if he can't play on the wing? But Ross County away, like you said, Mark Patrick there, I'll go and pull it up. But it's not normally a ground that we go and like score 6 or 7 or whatever. They're not, kind of comfortable games, but they're not normally like, rip roaring, free scoring in that kind of sense. So I'm just going to pull up the head so I can flavour this into it as well. But the last over the last 5 or 6 games we've went there, we've scored more than 4 goals once. That was in the League Cup, but the last 4 visits in the league we've won 3-1, 2-0, 3-0, and 2-1. So been on the tighter end of comfortable. The last time we won 5-0 was 2020. That's the biggest result in the kind of run over the last couple of years. So yeah, we've won every game, but it's 2-0, 3-1, So what do we think for this game?
I think I'll go 3-0. I think teams have been sitting in quite a lot in Ross County. Like sometimes at home they're a bit more expansive, but they're bottom of the league, and I think it'll be a damage limitation type job from their point of view. So I think they'll be quite cautious as well. So I think it'll be a sort of 2-0, 3-0. Go for 3-0 because that's been pretty much the average of what we've been scoring recently as well.
I think 3-0 as well. I think Kyogo hat-trick, 3-0. I think it will just be simple. I mean, Ross County are a poor team. They've the kind of same player. They've got a lot of the same players that they've had. Jordan Whites of this world. They've not got enough real talent and creativity. So I think they'll struggle to actually create anything. 3-0, yeah. I think it'll probably be one of those games where if we score early in the game, I think it could be a long day for them. But I just have a feeling it's going to be one of them. They're going to be compact for ages and ages and ages, and then we'll break them down finally, and then eventually when we get one, it'll be 2 and 3.
I said 3-0 for the last games. If I said 4-0, I beg your pardon, ended up being 2-0. And I think Ross County is one of those games that you can come into, especially you say Kyogo hat-trick. And we've been talking tonight about how the goals are spread around the team. So if Kyogo's going to get all the goals, it would be really off script. And sorry, I just need to change the old camera around here. Go on to the backup. But would you cry? So when you said Kyogo 3-0, I thought you were going to give me a 5 or a 6 on top of that, because surely somebody else gets a goal or whatever. It gets shared around a little bit with Daizen or something. But yeah, like I do. Yeah, like 3-0 does feel like a kind of right scoreline to me as well. But if Kyogo's to get a hat trick, I think it's going to be a lot more than 3-0.
I think if it's one of those games where, and as I go back to I said at the start of the show, we are scoring more goals than we've ever scored. Like generally, we just look like battering teams, and we're not conceding goals. So brace yourself for a 1-0 Ross County win here. No, but I think that there's, it just has we have the potential to smash them badly as well. So I think that's why I said at the beginning of the game, the game state's important here, because if Ross County concede early in that match, it could absolutely demoralise them, because they're third bottom in the league. They're not quite bottom because St Johnstone, my least favourite team in Scotland, well, one of my least favourite teams, obviously there's a couple ahead of them in Scotland. I just can't go St Johnstone, absolute Mickey Mouse club. Glad to see them. They're on 15 points, rock bottom of the league. Going to smash them, get down. And Hearts are second bottom. But Ross County are horrendous. They are such a bad team, so we should be smashing them. And I think confidence in, if we're in full pace, score early, it could be a 5 or 6, or could be in that type of range. But I've seen this game so often where, they sit in compact, defend, and then you have to break them down. And then we'll score. When we score the first goal, then their heads drop, and then we pick them off and score the second and the third. And I feel like it's going to be more like that.
Breaking news, Quinny, the MLS have apologised for that thing with Kyogo. So they've apologised. Apparently their site, when there's a player mentioned or whatever, the informational loads via a data provider. That's why they've got Mbappe and things on there. So it does look like maybe there's no truth in that. They say they've apologized. So
the tinfoil hat's staying on for me.
Yeah, I said before, like I have seen big mess ups like that before, where people just simply don't do their job. So it's not that big a shock. Yeah.
And we're all in unison. Celtic versus Ross County is going to be 3-0, it sounds like. So
yeah,
I think that's the first time we've ever had everyone picking the same scoreline. If you've been watching this after we've been live, let us know your man of the match shouts, your score predictions in the live chat as well down below. Feel free to let us know what we got wrong with the predicted 11, ideally before the starting lineup comes out. Otherwise, that's cheating. Mark Patrick, it's been great having you back on again, mate.
Thanks, guys. Good to be back. Back with a bang.
Back with a bang. And McBride again. Pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, good to see you back on, Mark Patrick. That's good. It's just me and Quinny everyone's having to listen to every week. So nice to freshen it up a bit. Get some debate in as well. But yeah, hail everyone, and stay warm. Avoid the -16s.
Yeah. Hail everyone. Have a good weekend.
Hail,
see you next
guys.
week. Woo woo.